Hello and welcome back to another video. Now in this video I will be showing you how to install XAMPP onto your computer. Now if you have any questions like what is XAMPP or XAMPP, it is software that allows you to run web related server services on your machine. And it is a GUI interface that helps you control things like Apache and MySQL. Now these are all services that large websites generally use, although it's probably not how I'll show you in today's video, but it's pretty close. I use this software to run my website and it works pretty well, so I'm going to show you how to set it up for yourself. So the first thing that you want to do is you'll want to search XAMPP and you'll want to click here from apachefriends.org and you'll want to come here to downloads and click XAMPP for Windows if you're on Windows, or if you're on Linux you can click Linux, or if you're on Mac OS you can click OS X. Now what you'll see here is PHP versions, and these PHP versions are versions of code that is run on the server side when a web page is loaded. Now you can run this completely without PHP, but PHP is a very useful tool and quite easy to use. Once you have picked which version you want, you can click on download. It's not the green button, it is the button that says your version. It'll say awesome, and you can see it's opened it in a new tab, and in the existing tab it's opened this link which will automatically download the installer file. Now you can see it is an x64 application, so you will need a 64-bit CPU to run it, but most CPUs are, so it should be fine. And you can see it's installing there. When you have downloaded the installer, you can then open if Google wants to open it, and it has brought up a pop-up window that says, do you want this to allow changes to your device? You want to click yes, because it will be installing files. Welcome to XAMPP. Right, so it's popped up an error message here. Because you have user account control on this system, some things might not work correctly. Now in my experience, the only thing that can be a bit complicated to get working with user account control, which every modern version of Windows has user account control. So the only thing that you might have issues setting up is installing it as a service. I'll explain more about that later. And to do that you will need to be in an administrator account, and on Windows you cannot install it to C program files or a directory that you can't write to. You would want to put it in a directory where the program can read and write to, so that it's able to keep track of all of its documents. So you just click OK, welcome, click next, and here you can select all the things that you want to have installed. Now it does require you to have PHP. That doesn't mean you have to use it, it's just something that's installed on your computer. Now if you leave everything checked, it will give you about 800, 900 megabytes of stuff. But you could probably get that down to about 200, 300 if you unselect everything. But for sake of usability, we are going to leave everything checked so that we can use it in the future if we need to, without having to reinstall everything. I'll click next, and here you can select the directory. Now when you type in this directory, you'll want to pick this carefully, as you cannot change this path afterwards. C XAMPP is perfectly fine, but if you have a small C drive you may want to have it on a different drive, and this drive doesn't really need to be anything powerful, but something that is reliable and has quick access times is favorable, as there are a lot of small files in the install, and quick access times can help load websites and web applications that you create quicker. So I'm going to leave that as C/XAMPP. We'll click install, and we can select English or Dustech, and click English, and it is ready. Begin. It's unpacking files and preparing to install. Now this process may take quite a while because it is putting a lot of small files in that directory you specified. So it can take up to about 7 minutes maybe. We have selected all of them, so it will take quite a while. If we just go into XAMPP, we can see all the things that are appearing. When the installer has finished, you will see this pop up. What you'll want to do is select private networks, make sure that's ticked, so that people in your house are able to view your website, but you're not opening it to the public yet. So just click allow access only on private networks. That will allow you to access your website, and you'll want to click start the control panel now, checked. And when you click finish, it should bring up this window. Now this window does look quite complicated, but it's not really. The first thing you will want to do is under Apache, which is this right here, you'll want to click config, and you'll want to click httpd.conf. It will open up Notepad, as that's the default, and you can see here it has the C/XAMPP in all the directories. Now here is the port that your website will be running on. A common port for websites is port 80, as this is the default port that Chrome goes to, or any other web browser goes to. If you change this, you will have to put that port in the URL. If you leave it at 80, you shouldn't have to do anything extra. And if you come down here, you can see all the modules that are loaded. You don't really have to change anything. And you can see here you can specify a name, which for now we're going to leave as localhost. And we've got postmaster at localhost. This is the email that will be displayed whenever the website says something's gone wrong. So it's fine. Now this is one of the important things. This is the folder that your website is, so that when you go to a website like youtube.com, what it is actually doing is opening a folder, and inside that folder there is a file called index.something. And as long as it's called index.something, it will open that file as a document like this. So when someone loads this website, they are going to be loading a file within this folder. Now you can change what files it opens by default. Down here, directory index, so if it's called index.php, index.asp, index.html, home.html, default, that will be the file that it opens. So this folder will contain all the documents for your website. So we're going to leave all these as they are because the default settings are usable. If everything looks good, you can click start, and it should turn green, and it will be running on ports 80 and port 443. Now, these are both default ports for all web browsers. Port 80 is the, just generic port, and port 443 is used for encrypted website communications. But for now, we're not going to be setting up anything on port 443 because it's a bit complicated, and we've just installed it. We just want to learn how to use this software. So now when you've got Apache running, it is as simple as going to Chrome, typing in localhost, and clicking enter. Now this is a website running on your computer. Now this is the default page that shows up, it's been pre-installed. And if we go into that folder, we can see we're in a folder called dashboard here, and here's a folder called dashboard, and here is the index.html. So this is the folder that we have opened here. Now I know all of this looks very complicated, but you only need one file, which is this file right here. A lot of websites like to link to other files from within that file to make organization easier and to have standardized navigation bars, standardized included files like JavaScript and CSS. If you don't know what any of those are, don't worry. They are not required knowledge to have a website. To have a website, literally all you need is an installation of XAMPP, and what you can do in this htdocs, I'm going to move this to a different folder. So we're going to just put that in a folder. You can call it anything. I'm just going to call it old web because it's the pre-installed one. We don't want it in our folder. So to run a website, you can literally do anything with it. You can create a file called index.html. Open it in Notepad. Open it in not Paint. Open it in Notepad and type hello. And if we open localhost, which is the name of our XAMPP installation, we've got a website that says hello just by typing the words hello into a Notepad document.